SnowTrax is sponsored by Ski-Doo. Better rides, better riders. Yamaha. Snowmobiles built for the real world. That's the Yamaha Advantage. And by FXR Racing. World-class outerwear.
We visit West Yellowstone yearly for a media event that allows us access to next year's sleds during the current model year. But typically, we're so busy testing new iron that we don't get the opportunity to truly take in all that West Yellowstone has to offer. This time around, we ensured it was different, and we enlisted the help of first-class tour guides to give us a better sampling of West than we ever have had before.
Yellowstone Park is roughly about 3,400 square miles. It's a little over that. We're here at one of the main entrances of West Yellowstone. The other entrances in which you can come in by sled is certainly over at Jackson Hole. You can actually drive your car in partially there by Cook City and through Gardner. They do have part of that open during the winter, but mostly by snowmobile and snow coach is you know, the main ways to get in here. A couple seasons ago, we had a record year. I mean, we had over 3.2 million people enter the park, and about 87,000 of them come in during the winter. But right now, they allow approximately 318 snowmobiles in per day and about 78 coaches.
Riding in the park in the wintertime is a privilege. The beauty I saw is legendary and something that I won't soon forget. Being able to be that up close and personal with nature, I mean, all you can say is wow. The winter's limited usage means you get an upfront seat to everything West Yellowstone Park is known for. And while the trails are groomed smooth and quite vast, the real reason to ride the park is the sights you're going to see. It's unlike anywhere I've ever been and totally unique to North America.
Some of the rules for riding in the park, well, primarily right now, the winter usage plan requires that you have a guide, and it also requires that the snowmobiles meet BAT guidelines, the best available technology. And that has to do with the emissions and with the decibel level, how loud they are, you know, how clean they burn, things like that. Basically, if you meet those two guidelines and you're inside the park, any rule that applies to a car basically applies to the snowmobiles. The type of wildlife that you can see on a daily basis traveling in the park, you don't typically during the winter see moose or mule deer, but you can see elk. We pretty much see elk every day. We see bison, very, very up close and personal, you know, a few feet away as we're, you know, driving by them. We see coyotes very often, bald eagles. The other day we even saw some river otters.
West Yellowstone Park may be best known for its summer beauty. However, the winter allows special access and viewing with a limited number of guests. In contrast to the summer, Yellowstone Park is totally different.
The changes that you see primarily during the winter versus if you come during the summer months are, you know, there's fewer roads open. They do groom pretty much all the roads. They groom the loop so you can do the whole loop, you know, take off and go through canyon, the backside of the lake, you know, come back down through Old Faithful and the Paint Pots and Masson Junction. And, you know, you can go over to Jackson. There's a lot fewer people is probably the biggest thing. And so you get to really go in the park and enjoy, there's a lot more serenity in there. It's just a beautiful place to be. The landscape looks a lot different. The waterfalls are frozen. The water's cascading down the ice and the big ice balls everywhere and wind drifts, and the trees are plastered with snow. The animals are conserving energy and a little bit more, you know, docile and you know, it's my favorite. I love coming in during the wintertime. It's a lot different than the summer. I think snowmobilers should take the time to come to West Yellowstone and tour the park and enjoy some of the other things that we have around here. is because it's just a beautiful place. We get a ton of snow up in this area. On a snowmobile in particular, you know, versus like a coach or something, you get to travel through the park a little bit faster, so you get to see a little bit more. You get to stop at the paint pots, you get to stop at more waterfalls, you get to, you know, run to a few other places. You know, the park, as I, you know, kind of mentioned earlier, I mean, you get to see the place in a whole different setting. It's just amazing how beautiful it is.
While most know Yellowstone for the park, the truth is its hidden gem is found outside of the park's limits during the winter months, where pine trees and snow abound. Backcountry riding here is some of the best in the world. Just remember, to be safe, you need to have a guide.
The riding area outside of West Yellowstone is huge. You could probably spend 5, 6, 7 days and not even be in the same area. We've got South Plateau, Two Top, you know, you get over towards Lion's Head, Hebgen Mountain, Cabin. There's, you know, 4 or 5 days of riding and you won't even see the same scenery. I've been guiding for 7 years and there's a lot of country out here that I still haven't seen yet. We've got groomed trails that take you towards the top of mountains. They're very easy to navigate, and we have some of the most technical backcountry riding anywhere in the world. As the snowmobiles improve and you know, we're able to get deeper and deeper into the backcountry has become a lot more popular. Most of the people that come to West Yellowstone do ride the trail system. We've got about 400 miles of trails, but the number each year is increasing in people that are wanting to get backcountry. So an average backcountry day with a guide, every morning we do about a 20-minute avalanche spiel. We get you using your beacons, show you the probe and the shovel, get you familiar with your equipment. We're the first level 2 certified snowmobile guide service in the lower 48 states. We're pretty proud of that. The good thing about avalanches is that they can be completely avoided.
At SnowTrax, safety is important, and we felt secure with the guide that we had. Ripping up the powder in the open meadows was a blast, and pulling through the snow-covered trees was really fun. I love carving in the backcountry. It's just a blast. We got stuck a couple of times, but, well, that comes with the territory. The variety of riding we found was impressive. I was able to snake through trees, jump off cornices, and carve powder in the open meadows, all in the same area. The snow was endless, and riding with our guide was especially cool as he knew some pretty interesting lines and helped me to have even more fun, if that's possible.
Riding the mountains is a totally different deal. The technique is different. There's a lot more dangers involved as far as avalanches can go. Just the terrain itself creates some issues. You know, you could go in the morning under blue skies and come out in an absolute blizzard. And if you don't know where you're at, you know, getting lost is something that we do deal with on a regular basis here. The guides just help get you in, keep you safe while you're in there riding, and make sure you get home safe. Whether you're male, female, young, old, everybody can come out and enjoy West Yellowstone. There's something for everybody here. Riding with these guys was awesome today. We had pretty good snow conditions, lots of carving, lots of playing. I got out, jumped a couple times, which doesn't happen every day, so that's good stuff. Even had a couple of sticks that we had to take care of, so that's all good stuff. When you get hooked up with the right guys, the right riders, it's always a good time out in the backcountry.
In the snowmobiling world, there's truly few places that you can have a multitude of riding experiences. West Yellowstone is one that delivers far more than you could ever expect. From the beauty of the park, to the powder in the backcountry, to fresh groomed trails, West Yellowstone delivers on all fronts.
Success is hard to argue with, especially if you define success as having the #1 selling sled in nearly every mountain category in the industry, which is why you'd simply be a fool to whisper even a hint of negativity about Polaris's lineup of RMK and Pro RMK models. I'm pretty sure if you did, your pants would literally catch on fire. Before we go any further, let's visit the honesty bubble just for a second. I'm not a pro mountain rider. I wish I was. Guys who can slay the POW in mountains are awesome, and I bet they get all the chicks. On the other hand, as a mid-level mountain rider, I feel I have a very unbiased and honest opinion of what works and what doesn't. Simply put, I don't have the skill to make up for a sled's shortcomings, so if I can ride it well, it must be good. And I can ride a Pro RMK really well. Better than any other mountain sled I've ever swung my meaty calves over. From the very first turn I took in the fluffy white stuff, I knew this sled was something different and was going to make me a better rider and take the pros to heights and places they never dreamed possible. What Polaris does with their RMK lineup year after year can be somewhat tiring to pay attention to. Last year, the sled got a whole new chassis. In terms of changes, they don't really get more all-encompassing than that. You'd think the vertical engineers over in Roseau had earned a year off. Nope. This year, Polaris chained the boys to their desks, and they managed to come up with over 200 new changes and improvements, some big and some small, all of which take the 2013 Pro RMK to a whole nother level. Probably the most impressive new development has come thanks to Polaris's breakthroughs in bonding dissimilar materials. Basically, if two materials can't be welded, Polaris bonds them together in a way that is equally as strong. In the overstructure of the Pro RMK, this process has made it possible to use carbon fiber tubes bonded to cast aluminum ends. It's lighter, stronger, and stiffer than ever before. Of course, why stop there? The bonding process also allowed the A-arms to be lightened by bonding chromoly steel tubes to cast aluminum ends. In the past, an A-arm would have to be made of either steel or aluminum. These babies are made of both. We have a sneaky suspicion you're going to see these lightweight parts show up on other Polaris models very soon, and bonding of exotic materials used in many other places on the RMK, Switchback, and Rush models in the very near future. One seriously cool change to the 013 Pro RMK that you can't see from the outside is the industry's first low inertia drive system. This setup eliminates the chain case, chain, and sprockets, and replaces them with what is otherwise known as a belt drive setup. Polaris says this belt and pulley driveline not only saves weight, but also lowers the rotating mass of the sled by 21%, and that this sled requires 5 pounds less effort to pull onto its side in the powder. After a long day, we figure that can start to add up substantially. The guys at Polaris said Chris Barrant told them the 013 RMK is the most flickable sled he's ever ridden, and that he coined the term flickable after riding the RMK. Now, I'm no history buff, and I certainly don't want to make any enemies, but I'm pretty sure it was the original motorhead Mark Lester who coined the term flickable in SnowTrax magazine in the early 90s. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, you know? Finally, we need to talk about those running boards. If you look quickly, they almost look like they aren't there. But look closer, and you'll see one-piece extruded aluminum running boards with more holes than material. Snow clear out is literally unbelievable. Traction is almost scary, and they're more rigid than any other running board I've ever jumped up and down on. There's a lot of new technology to talk about on this sled. So much so, we almost run out of time to talk about how good it actually works. But the truth is, not a lot of time is needed for that. The new 2013 Pro RMK is the easiest to ride mountain sled I've ever tried to look awesome on. It holds a line on the side of a hill with nearly no effort. It can be flicked back and forth in the deep stuff between the trees almost telepathically. Thanks to all the weight savings, more than 14 pounds this season, this sled comes in with a dry weight of only 417 pounds, which is lighter than any stock 800 class mountain sled in history. What does it mean for a guy like me? Well, simply put, it makes me look like a hero. I can ride longer and harder, and I can get into and out of places I never would have dreamed of even trying to go before. What does it mean for a pro? Well, that's a hard question to answer, because we can't get them to stop riding long enough for us to even ask. Polaris really invented the mountain segment with their long track SKS models in the early 90s. SKS stood for Snow King Special, but a long track back then would barely pass as a crossover today. Once the idea had come to life and the benefits of a long track were realized, vertical riding would never be the same, and Polaris would start its long journey to the absolute pinnacle of the mountain-specific marketplace. The key to staying on top is the seemingly never-ending development of the many versions of the RMK platform. Year after year, this sled gets changes and improvements, additions and deletions, some big, some small, all of them resulting in a sled that was better than the previous version. 2013 sees the RMK take a giant leap forward, not just in its own performance and specs, but also in what the mountain segment now sees as standard equipment. Right up front, the 2013 Polaris Pro RMK weighs an almost unbelievable 417 pounds, making it the lightest 800 class mountain sled ever made. And while that's impressive all on its own, it's how the Polaris mountain engineers arrived at this number and all the features and benefits that were added in the process that really make it stand out. The most impressive piece of technology found on the 2013 Pro RMK is definitely its use of bonding dissimilar metals and materials. A hugely limiting factor in the production of light but strong snowmobiles is the fact that you can't weld dissimilar metals together. Polaris's bonding process that was perfected on the original Rush models allows two dissimilar metals to be connected together in a way that's actually stronger than welding. The obvious benefits of this are the ability to use lightweight material where you want it and heavy material only where you need it. The A-arms on the RMK are a prime example of this, saving an amazing 2 full pounds over their previous renditions. But they aren't the only place Polaris has used bonding to save weight and add strength. The RMK's overstructure is the upper triangle of the chassis that holds the handlebar post in place and braces the top of the shock towers. Like the A-arms, the mounting points for this part need to be strong, but the actual tube sections just need to be rigid. Bonding has allowed Polaris for the first time to use cast ends with carbon fiber tubes. That's right, carbon fiber. It's light, it's strong, it's trick, and it has helped increase the structural rigidity of the Pro RMK chassis by nearly 300%. If you can't see the endless possibilities for this technology in countless places on nearly every class of sled in the industry, dude, you need to have your eyes checked. Further weight savings on the RMK come from a number of different places. The exhaust can, for example, has been completely rethought and redesigned to meet emissions requirements, meet sound requirements, but save 5 pounds all at the same time. A lightweight seat is comfortable and designed to work with a rider in the mountains without getting in the way. A lightweight front bumper and snow flaps seem like small improvements, but add to the overall weight savings of the whole vehicle. Of course, another of the more obvious changes on the 2013 Pro RMK are the all-new Powder Track running boards. They look light because they are light, but they were designed to be so much more than just light. The huge cutouts clear snow, the extruded aluminum construction is extremely stiff, durable, and replaceable, and the machined edges grip your boots like a teeny bopper giving Justin Bieber a big old bear hug. The final piece of super trick tech the RMK is sporting underneath its sexy bodywork is what Polaris calls the Low Inertia Drive System, or Belt Drive. This is a setup many pro-level mountain riders have been using on their fully modified sleds for years, but the 2013 Pro RMK marks the first time it has ever come standard on a consumer model. The Low Inertia Drive System consists of a belt and 2 pulleys that replaces your chain case, chain, and sprockets on a conventional setup. Is it light? You bet it is, but there's a lot more to it than that. Gyroscopic force is what keeps a bicycle vertical when the wheels are spinning. It's also the rotating force you must overcome to lean any spinning object on its side. Believe it or not, a typical chain and sprocket drive setup on a snowmobile creates measurable gyroscopic forces. Polaris claims their low inertia drive system lowers the rotating mass and therefore the gyroscopic forces acting on the sled and the rider by an astounding 21%. They claim this adds up to a 5-pound decrease in effort required to pull the sled over on its side in the powder. To quantify this in layman's terms, imagine lifting a 10-pound weight every 5 seconds for 4 hours. Now imagine lifting a 5-pound weight for the same amount of time. Unless your name's Arnold, I think you'd notice a pretty big difference after just the first few minutes, wouldn't you? The fact that the 2013 Polaris Pro RMK is the lightest 800 class mountain sled ever made is impressive. But that fact almost pales in comparison to the cumulative effects of all the cool technology used to achieve that number. Add it all up, and you've got the most impressively performing and technologically advanced mountain sled ever sold.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Polaris Terrain Domination, Arctic Cat. Share our passion. Yamaha. Snowmobiles built for the real world. That's the Yamaha Advantage. And by Go Ride Ontario. There's no place like this. The MBRP Performance Exhaust Video Portal is presented by Triton Trailers. Hitch up to quality.